Hey everybody, Matt Hartman here for Drunkard's Walk. Thanks so much for listening, and a big thank you to Jesse L.E. for our theme music and Nick Jaramillo for our artwork. Well, here we are, another episode in Season 11. Hopefully you are enjoying what you're hearing. Boy, it is so great to have on all of these guests, folks that we have never met before, but found us through the amazing Escape This podcast. You keep hearing about it, and if you haven't checked it out yet, please go and do that. Although I know most of you probably found us because you've already heard it. So anyway, go check it out. It is an amazing podcast. Consume This Media is the group that does it. They also have a podcast, This Escape. They have Escape This Murder, I think is the name of it. Oh gosh, now I'm checking myself in my brain, and I don't know that that's right. But anyway, check out all of their stuff because it is great. It is wonderful. It is amazing. And if you enjoy it, give them a rating or review. Give them all of the love that they deserve. All right, enjoy the show, everybody.
Hello, Drunkard's Walk fans! Welcome back to another satisfying episode of Drunkard's Walk. This is Jethro Nolan, your host. You're the main host, really, of the show. And with me is my special little assistant, the little guy who really doesn't contribute anything substantial other than some minor logistical things. But, you know, my sidekick, my plus one, Matt Hartman. Welcome, Matt.
Hi.
There we go. All right, there it is. How are you doing, Matt? I understand you're eating at the grown-ups table now.
I'm okay.
Good. All right, wonderful. All right, Matt, that was all clearly a hilarious joke at your expense, and you can now participate fully rather than the passive-aggressive yes-ending of my joke.
Thanks, Jethro. I really appreciate that, you son of a bitch. You know,
There we go.
I slave and work for, you go out and you don't know what it's like here. All day long, I'm here by myself in the Drunkard's Walk studio, and I have to do everything around here, and you're out there and you just get to do your job and talk to other people.
That's all you do.
Well, I'm sorry, but I think that I deserve a little bit more respect than what you're giving me.
You know, I tell you what, you keep this up, I'm going to do a podcast with somebody else. What do you think about that?
You wouldn't.
I'll leave you and the baby, Dave Foreman.
The baby? What's the baby?
He's our baby, Dave Foreman.
Oh, the podcast is the baby?
No, Dave Foreman's the baby.
Oh, Dave Foreman. Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. I agree with that. I love that idea, and I can't wait to have him back on and talk about that. Jethro, I am excited that you told people this is going to be a satisfying episode because I believe you're right. I think it will be satisfying.
I'm already satisfied. In fact, I don't even think we need to do the rest of the episode. We can call it quits right here.
You think that would be satisfying? You see, okay, now this is a problem. I have heard some rumors that you often think that a short amount of time is satisfying to the partner, and I think that you might be incorrect on that one, my friend.
Well, clearly you've been talking to Christy about our sex lives
Yeah, I
and
don't want
my inability to maintain sexual activity for a long period of time.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So that's a great joke.
Thanks.
At the very real lack of sexual satisfaction that I'm able to deliver, and thank you for airing that publicly.
No problem. No problem. I feel like you've brought it up before. You've said you've at least alluded to it before, and I feel like let's just get it all out here in the open, man. Let's talk it out. Let's bang out a few things here.
Well, banging out a few things is going to require a significant amount of vitamin E and a nap. I could maybe bang out one thing and then
vitamin E. Don't take too much of that, man. That can be toxic to your system. Did you know that?
I can't even. I think is that from Blazing Saddles that I'm stealing that joke about, depending on how much vitamin E I can get my hands on.
I think that's right. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I don't remember for sure, but I definitely heard it before, so it could very well be Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Well, in terms of jokes I could have grabbed from Blazing Saddles, glad I grabbed that one.
That's the one. That's the one that holds up. That is the one that holds up. Yeah.
You don't think Blazing Saddles holds up?
No. I think it holds up fine. I think that there are just a lot of problematic things in it.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I mean, like it was problematic then.
Intentionally problematic, and so therefore not problematic. Is that what you're saying?
Also, like written by Richard Pryor. Like Mel Brooks was like, this clearly has to have a black writer. And They wanted Richard Pryor to be in it, and I would love, not that Cleavon Little didn't do an amazing job in that film. I would
Sure.
love to see the universe in which Richard Pryor got to star in Blazing Saddles.
I mean, there is one out there somewhere. You've just got to jump. You got to jump through the multiverse. I'm sure you could go on TikTok right now and create a video about the Mandela effect where you remember Richard Pryor being in that movie, and people would absolutely latch right onto that.
Well, maybe if I could take just one step at a time from this universe to the universe where Richard Pryor starred in Blazing Saddles, it would be similar to what we do on this podcast, where we go from one Wikipedia page to another in search of a grand destination.
Yeah, that was a fantastic segue,
Thank you very much.
I love it. I love it. You know what, the one thing though in that universe that you might not like, I don't know, maybe you would, is that Eddie Murphy then stars in Brewster's Millions because he and Richard Pryor are trading places in a way.
I see what you did there. First of
Thank
all, also I'm totally fine to make that concession.
Yeah,
I don't think that Brewster's Millions is a masterpiece that should not be messed with. I feel like
Now hold
do
on.
whatever you want to Brewster's Millions.
Don't go stepping on Brewster's Millions over here. That's a classic. That is a comedy classic right there.
No, it is not. It is not a comedy classic. It is not a good film.
No, what? Hold on. Now, sir, please. We may have to step outside.
I mean, you can step outside if you want, but we're still like 4 hours away from each other. So
very cold. I'm not.
If we're gonna
anyway,
if we're gonna have a Donnybrook, then it's gonna take a while to physically coordinate our space.
Well, Jethro, how are we gonna? You said that we were gonna take these steps through Wikipedia. We were gonna follow these links.
I did.
We're gonna start where we ended last week. I understand that, but Jethro, where are we gonna go?
We are going to go to Richard Pryor starring in Blazing Saddles. I said it already.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds great. Wait a minute, Jethro. You can't decide where we're going to go. That's not the way it works.
How does it work then, Matt?
Well, you see, what we do is we invite on a guest. And in this case, we have a brand new guest, a guest who has never been on the podcast before.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We are joined by none other than Colin Johnson. Colin, how are you?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
We're great.
Welcome to Drunkard's Walk.
Yeah. How have you been? How did you find us? How did you know about us? Wait. I'm gonna read your mind. Do a magic trick. You listen to other podcasts. You've heard Escape This Podcast.
Yes.
Yes. I knew it. That was actual magic that you just saw there. I actually read his mind.
Indeed.
It has nothing to do with past information.
So we've reached like our first stage of development in which we're finally having guests on the podcast who we don't personally know. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's one stage of growth. Now the next stage of growth for this is not actually being able to predict how they know us. So
I don't think so. I love it.
It can't just be Escape This Podcast references. We need to get famous in another dimension.
I am totally fine with it. I love Escape This Podcast, and I love that, Colin, I'm assuming you found us through that, right?
Yes, I did.
Awesome. So tell us about your background and your history. How did you, first of all, why were you listening to Escape This Podcast? And then what about what you heard about Drunkard's Walk made you kind of jump on over and listen to us too?
Well, I bet you could also guess how I got to Escape This Podcast if you really tried. But I'll just tell you, it was through Lateral with Tom Scott.
Oh, yes. Another fantastic podcast.
Fantastic podcast. And then Tom Scott obviously got started originally doing Wikipedia-based entertainment with technical difficulties.
Oh.
So it ties right back to Drunkard's Walk.
I didn't know that. I've listened to Lateral, but I didn't know Tom Scott's history. So he was doing a Wikipedia-based thing. What was that about?
Because it started out as a reverse trivia podcast, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. And then they migrated to YouTube and started doing a Wikipedia-based version where Tom would have an article randomly chosen, pulled up, and would give the other three panelists just the title, and they would have to guess things what was in the article. Like,
Oh,
what is this thing? Can you tell me stuff about it with no prior prompting?
huh.
And then there was they ran with that format for a while, and then they changed it up and did a different Wikipedia-based format, and so that ran for quite a while. But there's a lot of good Wikipedia-based entertainment right there.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I've reached out to Tom Scott before to see if he's interested in coming on our show. He's a very, very busy person, so he was not available. But I'm gonna have to reach out again because I had no idea that we were kind of closely related to the stuff that he was sort of started with there. And I'm also gonna have to go back and check all that out. You said that's on YouTube?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
That they kind of spread over a couple of different channels on YouTube, but if you follow the Tom Scott stuff backwards, you can find the other stuff on YouTube.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to definitely check that out because you got to know your history, right, Jethro? I mean, you got to know kind of what came before you, and it
Absolutely.
sounds like a predecessor, even though we knew nothing about it. Sort of probably helped pave the way for the hundreds of fans that we hope to someday have.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Colin, tell us a little about you. What do you get up to when you're not listening to podcasts?
Well, I mean, what I'm usually doing when I'm listening to podcasts is working landscaping.
Oh, okay.
But then when I'm not doing that, then it's a lot of music stuff. I've just taken up curling.
Oh, wow.
A handful of other odds and ends hobbies, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm into.
That's awesome. What kind of music stuff do you do? Do you write or sing or perform or what sort of music?
Uh, Currently it tends to be doing some rock stuff. I've been in a few bands over the years, and then I'll get a call from somebody and say, "Hey, we need somebody to sit in," and so I'll jump in on just about any style of music if somebody wants me to. So I've done pits for musicals, I've done classical, I've done jazz gigs. Spent 6 months on a cruise ship as a musician
nice.
there. So it's kind of all over the place that way. But yeah, that's kind of my biggest hobby.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Where do you live geographically?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Okay. And there you go. That feels like curling is definitely a possibility in Wisconsin.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah. I love Wisconsin. I've visited there several times. I am a big fan of the food and the beer that is available in Wisconsin. Those are, in fact, one of my favorite beers ever is Spotted Cow by New Glarus. In fact, and I also really love Fat Squirrel, which I understand that they don't make anymore, but those are two of my faves of all time.
Oh yeah, yep. There's a lot of that around here.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, and what instrument do you play? I'm going to assume that it's piano based on what I'm seeing in behind you in the video right now, but is that true or no?
I can play piano, but that is not my primary. Mostly I'm upright bass and bass guitar are my two mains, and then there's a laundry list beyond that of, tuba and guitar and ukulele and accordion, and you just
Nice.
the quality descends from there, but I can hack my way through if I have to.
There you go. That's awesome. I love it. I was just at my daughter's orchestra concert tonight, and the fifth grade orchestra had two upright basses in the fifth grade orchestra, and I was blown away because I didn't think elementary school anybody was playing bass yet. So I was very impressed by the fact that they had two upright basses.
Oh yeah.
And I have PTSD from hearing about elementary school string concerts because everybody's on a different note. And
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Everybody's heard the elementary school string concert. Actually, I do have to say, and I'm not saying this just as a parent who just heard his kid play in it. It was better than I expected it to be. So I was pretty impressed with what the director has done. They've chosen the right level of music for these kids to be playing, and they were actually doing a very serviceable job of the stuff that they were doing. So it was good.
Awesome
It was good
song.
stuff. I also found out that my 5th grade teacher died in
Oh.
that concert because they did a song, and he was talking about how that teacher had played with them and was a great guitar player, and how he had just passed away. So he was talking about this teacher, and no one else in the audience knew who this was because I'm a little older than a lot of the parents, and I was just like, oh no, oh my God, that's terrible. I can't believe. And everyone else around me is just like, no, I don't know who that is. Whatever, that's a real shame.
Old people die.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what happens. And I was just like, oh no, my math teacher from 5th grade. That's really sad. So
And then they followed that up with Samuel Barber's Adagio for strings.
no, they
And Matt
played
was
Angeline the Baker was the name of the song. That was one of his favorite songs. Apparently, it's by Stephen Foster, and I'd never heard it before. But it was nice. It was a nice upbeat tune, and it was a good way to come out of that. It's a kind of sad moment, but I guess that had been one of his favorite songs. So that's why they mentioned it and dedicated it to him. So, well, Colin, it is awesome to have you on. We really appreciate you reaching out to us and submitting a topic suggestion. Let's talk about what that topic is going to be. Where are you sending us this evening?
Well, we've been right on topic for where I'm sending you this evening, because I was partially inspired by the fact that you were going to be seeing orchestras tonight,
Okay.
and so I was going through which place should I send you to, what should I do? There was like 3 or 4 different things in mind, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. So I am sending you to the Kar Kutsevitsky double bass.
Oh, okay. I'm sure I can spell that, but just for those people who can't, how would you spell Karvutsevitsky?
It is KARR dash KOUSSEVITZKY.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about this Karkutsevitsky double bass. What is the deal with this thing?
So, a lot of people have heard, famous violins. You get your Stradivariuses and all of the fancy violins that go for oodles and oodles of money.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody knows any specific upright basses except for this one. That it was most famously originally, well, I guess not originally, but came to prominence when it was owned by Sergei Kusevitsky, who was a Russian bassist and conductor, who started in Russia and then moved to Berlin for a little while and then to Paris, and then spent a lot of time as the conductor of the Boston Symphony, and was famous for that. Did a lot there, and then after he died, his wife had his bass for a number of years until she saw Gary Carr in concert doing solo bass work, and was claims to have seen her husband's ghost embrace Carr while on stage, and so then after the concert got a hold of him and gave him her husband's old bass, and then Gary Carr then proceeded to, for the next 40 years, that was his primary instrument until he decided to retire, and then has since donated the bass to the International Society of Bassists, who loan it out to various folks to then perform on and give concerts with it and all of those sorts of things. That it's now become, kind of the instrument of everyone that performs solo bass works, because there's not a lot of call for solo bass, but when it's there,
This is it.
they
This
turn
is
to
the one.
Yep, it's kind of the solo bass.
Wow.
Now, so Sergei Kusevitsky, he was sort of bassist famous, like we're improv famous, Matt and I are, which is another way
Sure.
of saying not famous.
Yes.
So was he known for playing with a particular orchestra or like?
So Sergei Kusevitsky was, as far as playing went, was definitely played with the Berlin Philharmonic for a little while, but he was better known later on as a conductor, and
Right.
so he's best known as the conductor of the Boston Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
He was their conductor for something like 40 years.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
and was part of how they got started with doing their summer stuff at Tanglewood in Western was it Western Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
So that was kind of his famous thing, was more conducting than bass playing, but he started out as a bassist and composed for it. That one of the kind of main solo works for double bass was the Kusevitsky Concerto.
Okay.
And then Gary Carr, then, who kind of inherited his bass, years later, then is kind of the top living solo bassist. I mean, he's since retired, but he's still considered by a lot of folks to be kind of the bassist for that sort of thing.
And where was his home base, so to speak?
Yeah,
I see what you did.
hey,
Thank you.
Yep. I believe he kind of came to prominence in New York. I know he did the concerts for young people with the famous conductor from the New York, Bernstein.
Bernstein? Yeah, I was gonna guess that, but
Yep. So that's kind of where he came to prominence, was with his telecast for trying to encourage young people to know about orchestral music. That there were CBS televised concerts for the young with Bernstein, and then
right, yeah.
and so then after that, then he played kind of all over the place, Chicago and London and Montreal and Hong Kong and Oslo and kind of all
List
over
more
the
cities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Johannesburg, Sao Paulo.
Seems likely, but can neither confirm nor deny.
That's fair.
All right.
That's fair. So this is okay. So this is one particular bass. It's not like a style or something like that. It's not, and this is not the designer. I guess I always thought that like a Stravinsky was like it was like a type of, like, the Stravinsky was the one who made all of these violins. Is that not true? Was Stravinsky the owner of these violins? Was I just totally wrong?
No, you were correct when it comes to that. And this bass used to be known as the Amati bass, because people used to think it was built by somebody in the Amati family, who were a family of instrument makers. But experts and historians and dendrochronologists have since figured out that it wasn't made by the Amati family. It was made by somebody in France around 1800, but we have nothing better than that to go on.
I see. So now we name it after the people that owned it, essentially, right? The famous people that have owned it.
Also, I want to call out pulling dendrochronologist out.
Yeah.
What is that? I think I can guess because the chronologist tacked on the end, but if you would provide an actually informed perspective, since you use the word.
People that study being able to tell when something happened by studying tree rings.
Okay.
So you're using trees to study time, essentially.
Yeah.
Because there is patterns in the growth rings that you can associate with the weather patterns in that area.
So
And
is that used in this instance metaphorically, just to talk about like, hey, looking at the base and its design, like figuring out, or was it actually looking at the wood?
it was
And the
looking at the
woodcut?
wood. They
Okay.
were able to go, okay, based on the rings in the wood that this base is made out of, we can tell that the spruce trees that made up the top had to have grown in somewhere near France in like between, I don't know if it was like 1720 and 1780 or something. Like, they could pick out where in time those and space those tree rings had grown
Mhm.
to then be able to say, okay, the tree had to have been alive in this area over this time period, so it wouldn't have made sense for it to have been built prior to that in a different
Yeah.
country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
so
amazing that they can do
that
that.
is absolutely amazing. But also, I feel like that's a field where like a really confident bullshit artist could probably fly undetected for a while. Like all you have to do is confidently assert, well, like clearly this is from, Sweden, and we can put it 1823 was the year it was harvested.
I love
Because
it. I
like
think
unless you're at like a dendrochronologist convention, it's like every so often on TV for some tragedy or whatnot, there'll be like a sign language interpreter, and the people who actually know sign language will be like, this person does not know any sign language.
yes.
Like I would love to have a version of my life where I just try to bullshit my way into various events and see how far I can get.
I think you should start doing it, man. I
I
think
know
and we
I
can
fear
record it.
I fear legal consequences. Far
I
too
think we should
actually
try it
pursue.
anyway. This is amazing. This is a great thing. Again, this is nothing. This is something that I've never heard of before, but seems to be like in Colin, in your world, because you play the bass. This is probably a pretty well known thing, right?
Yes, and I know it particularly well because I went to a annual event for young bassists when I was going through middle and high school,
Mm-hmm.
and one year one of the clinicians had the Car Kusavisky bass on loan, and so I got to play it
What?
for a few minutes.
Oh my
Very
gosh!
cool.
You've touched this thing. That's
Yep.
that's unbelievable.
Yep, I played the Kusavisky concerto on the Kusavisky car bass.
That is so cool, man. Holy cow. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Because I mean, how many people there is a very limited number of people that could say something like that. You are in a very elite group.
I mean, at this point, since the bass is out on loan, like the number is growing fairly rapidly, but it is
I
still
mean,
limited to bassists.
yeah, and look, there are 8 billion people on the earth. You know what I mean? Like the number of people, the percentage of people that have played this thing and have played that actual song on it. Like that's awesome. That's very, very cool, man. And that's such a great story. And this is going to be such a cool thing to go to, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, and I think it'll take you a little while to get there. So it's a win-win.
Cool. That's good to know. When I'm making my guess as to as to how many steps it's going to take, I'll be sure to factor that in. Well, that's great. Let's find out too. We know where we're walking. Are you doing a drink of any type tonight, Colin?
Yes, I'm sipping on a homemade apple cider.
Nice.
Oh, a homemade apple cider. Tell me, what is the process that one goes through to make apple cider? Because apple juice, I feel like you just squeeze the apple. What do you do to make apple cider?
You mash and press the apples and don't filter it very far.
Oh, okay. That's a difference? Had no idea that was the difference.
Yep, that's the main difference.
Awesome. And you are in Wisconsin, so are these Wisconsin apples that you're using, local apples?
Yep, yep. Grew up on our old family farm, so
Very nice.
Oh, wow.
Yep, made it myself.
Very cool. Wow. This dude, you're outshining us. Because you're much
stop
cooler
being
than
more
we are.
interesting than we are. Yeah.
Cut it out, man. We are not nearly as interesting. That's so cool. Jethro, how about you, man? Are you drinking many homemade drinks tonight?
Yeah, so I am having some well, I took some watermelon and I juiced it, so now I have
Okay.
water.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was my family watermelon farm
Boy,
that we have.
I am
And
glad
by
that
the
that is
way,
how you told us you got that water, because I was
Jan
really
yeah,
afraid for a couple of moments.
what were you afraid I was going to say?
Well, there are other ways to make your own water, and it requires more filtration. But I saw Waterworld, and I know it can be done. So
There we go. Yeah, I feel like people are using water in a very loose sense when they say that. But
mm,
what do you got, Matt? What
still water.
beverage are you
Uh,
enjoying?
I,
And how did you make it?
well, so this one I made by what I did was I had to squeeze really hard on the screw cap on the top of this, so that I could open this bottle and pour. I poured it myself into a glass. This is another one of the whiskeys that came in my whiskey advent calendar. It's
Ah,
number 3, and it is Stranahan's Blue Peak American whiskey, single malt. This comes out of Colorado, which who knew that they made whiskey there? And it's named after Aspen's a peak in Aspen. It's been in charred American oak barrels and Eldorado Spring Mountain Water. So there you go. So that's what I'm having this evening, and it's it's good. Oh, it tastes like a scotch. It's like got a scotchy taste to it. So if there's anybody out there that drinks bourbons and scotches and rye and things like that, it has much more of a scotch taste. It tells me in the flavor profile that most of it is sweet, and it has some sweetness to it, but it's not like cloyingly sweet. It's not like one of those like peanut butter whiskeys or something like that. That's like super duper dessert
yeah,
sweet, but it's still good. It's still real good. So.
delightful.
Well, Colin, this has been fantastic. It has been wonderful talking to you. We have got to get on our way here, though, especially if this is going to take us a while to get, because we're moving from the Renault Formula One crash controversy, of course, to the car Kosovitsky. Kosovitsky, am I saying that right?
Kusavitsky.
Kusovitsky double bass. So I agree. It's probably going to take us just a couple of steps to get there. But we really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you listening. And hopefully we will talk to you again someday soon.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Colin.
Absolutely. Take
Cheers.
care. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Matt. We have one final thing we need to do. We need to write down our guesses for what we think it's going to take us to get there.
We do need to do that. So I'm worried because he said it might take us a little bit to get there, and I think he might be right. I don't think there's a lot of paths in there, especially from Formula One. So all right, I'm gonna write it down. I wrote it down.
I
Let's
have
do it,
also
man.
written it down. Let us begin. And we
Let's get into
start
it.
at the Renault Formula One crash controversy,
We do.
colloquially known as Crashgate,
Mm-hmm.
something from the
And
2008 Singapore Grand Prix.
that's right. If folks listened last week, they'll already know about this, but it had to do with driver Nelson Piquet Jr. deliberately crashing during that Grand Prix to give a sporting advantage to his Renault teammate Fernando Alonso.
There you go.
So yeah. So was it? Did he? Did it? Was it true? And I guess they came out. They said that it was right. He came out and confessed or something.
Yeah.
Is what happened. So I guess it did happen. And no one wants to see. I don't know. Is it cheating though? Is it really cheating to do this? Would you say that? Would you call this cheating, Jethro?
That's the thing that I don't get. And you see this in like bicycle racing as well, that
Mm,
it's an individual sport, but there's also teams. So like
right.
what's the incentive for somebody to be on the Renault team, but not trying to actually win yourself, only trying to help, the Lance Armstrong? And I realize that I'm mixing my sports metaphors here.
Mm.
Like what is the allure for those folks? I don't get it.
Just to help out a teammate, I guess, is the only.
I know, but it's an individual sport. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
I
like
don't.
the whole
Yeah.
team is in the van crossing the finish line. One guy
Well,
is in one car.
but I'll bet you the team gets money, right? If you win, Like you're gonna get additional money.
Wait a minute,
Team wins.
they sully Formula One racing by putting money into it?
Yeah, well, that's what sponsors do.
It's
Jeff.
supposed to be about the racing and the many, many logos.
Right. Yes. Thousands of logos. And I guess like Felipe Massa is the person who was most ticked off about all this because it looks like he came in 13th in that race and then lost the world championship to Lewis Hamilton by 1 point. So had he done better in that race, he would have won the championship, and that probably would have been better for him. So,
indeed. So I got to say, I'm scrolling down this page, and
what do you
I see a shit ton of names of people in Formula One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
There is some links to other scandals, like there's an East German athletics doping scandal. Okay. There is Nancy Kerrigan is listed here.
Okay.
Which is fun for the kids who don't know. She was famously hit in the leg with a lead pipe by Jeff Gillooly, Tanya Harding's boyfriend at the time. And that was a big scandal. Huge.
Yeah. Yes, I see that. There's a link to the actual assault as well. Just right before Nancy Kerrigan's name, it just says the assault, and it links to an article that is about that particular incident. So yeah, I don't know that would help us much, but we could go there if we wanted to.
Although I will say, clicking on this, and I'm just learning this now, the assault apparently happened in Detroit, Michigan, where pretty near where I live now.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Look at that.
Okay.
Detroit making news by being the subject of a scandalous attack.
I see links to things on here that have really nothing to do with this, but are just like general words that they don't connect in any way to orchestras or double basses, but like extradited is in here. I see links to several newspapers, like the Times is linked here.
I saw that.
The British daily newspaper.
I've actually found the first link that I would even consider clicking on as a way of getting out of here. There is a link to the BBC, and the BBC has a lot of cool cultural stuff, which could get us into musics, which I believe is going to have to be how we go, how we move forward.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there is I almost want to go to this, despite the fact that I don't love lists. In the C also, there is list of scandals with, quote, gate suffix.
I mean, this is where if the contract we had with the listener was, hey, we're just going to try some cool, interesting links and see where we go, that would be what I would want to click on. But we have a sacred oath to try to get to a particular destination.
But let me ask you this. Don't you think that there's a chance that there is at least one music scandal that is going to be on that list?
I have no idea. Name the music scandal that ends in gate.
I don't know it off the top of my head. Also, I've had a sip or two, and so I don't know, but I'll bet there is. And I'm just saying, like, why not give it a chance? Why not spin the wheel? Like BBC, we've been to BBC. Listen, if we're going to go to a media outlet, I want to go to one of these newspapers because we've been to BBC more than once. And so I feel like it's just retreading the same ground, and it's boring, and I don't like it. So I don't want to go to BBC. So I'm gonna put a foot down right over here next to the meter, and I'm gonna say no.
Okay. All right then. Well,
but I'm still open to other things. I'm not saying we have to go to the gate scandal thing, but I don't want to go to BBC again.
Okay. All right then. Well, you have made yourself known.
I have made myself known. I see the Daily Mirror is linked on here. Like I said, the Times is linked on here. Suspended. Again, does not seem like something that's going to get us there, but it's just a general term, and so it has a better chance of. It's going to get us away from racing, right? That's all it's going to do. All
right, I will go there, and I have an ulterior motive.
Go where? Where do you want to
go? The scandals with the gate suffix.
Oh, really? Oh, you're good. You're good for that now.
I've thought in my mind of a scandal with the gate suffix that I think might get us around where we want to be.
Do you want to tell us what it is, or do you just want to show up and see if it's true?
So there was a scandal having to do with the inflation levels of footballs called Inflategate.
Sure, yeah, I remember that. I see what you're doing.
Tom Brady of the
Yeah.
New England Patriots,
Mhm.
which I believe is Boston adjacent, and the Boston Symphony Orchestra is
Yeah.
where this guy conducted for a long
Yeah.
time.
I feel like we're going to get into some geography there if we wind up doing that. But who knows? Maybe there's something about the Boston Symphony Orchestra playing for the Patriots or something. I don't know.
All right,
I guess that's a
fine.
possibility.
Listen,
But
you're poo-pooing things left and right, and we're already like 40 minutes in, for God's sake.
I
You need
know.
to
I know.
give the
Hey,
people.
Colin was a really interesting person to talk to. I don't know what to tell
He
you, man.
was.
Like, we
He
don't want to
was.
cut that off.
All right, list of scandals with gate suffix. You ready to
Let's
boogie?
do it. Let's
It's
go
down
see
at the bottom.
Let's go see what this is all about.
All right, and here we go. This is a dynamic list and may never be able to satisfy particular standards for completeness. You can help by adding missing items with reliable sources.
And
There we go.
the title of the page, once we get there, is List of dash gate or gate suffix scandals and controversies. So there you go. This is a list of scandals or controversies whose name include a gate suffix by analogy with the Watergate scandal, as well as other incidents to which the suffix has often fastidiously been applied. Wait, fastidiously? No, facetiously. Haha. Read the right words, Matt.
That would help.
Fastidiously didn't make any sense as I was saying it, but here we are. So you know what's on here? Ho ho, baby, baby.
Deflategate.
No, it says the complex itself is named after the Watergate area where symphony orchestra concerts are staged and symphony orchestra is linked.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God, that is the the big, yeah, and double bass is listed in the pop-up. I would say, do you want to look further or shall we go there?
I mean, let's look through this page a little bit because we're here and we'll probably never come back, and it's probably pretty fun. But I mean, that's where we're gonna go unless there's a bass gate scandal.
Wow, there's the first one that I landed on had to do with the outrage on social media that followed when Samantha Bee called Ivanka Trump a feckless C blank NT on her comedy show.
Wow.
And I had not heard of that one. And yeah, there we go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. See, that's why there's a bunch of things on here that I'm sure we've never heard of. Closet Gate is on here. That's the one controversy that erupted following the South Park episode Trapped in a Closet.
Envelope Gate, the Best Picture category being announced as La La Land when in fact was Moonlight.
Comics Gate is on here, which I believe we actually went to something very adjacent to that in one of our previous episodes a couple seasons ago.
Nipplegate, also known as Boob Gate, or the more famously, I think, the wardrobe malfunction when Justin Timberlake exposed Janet Jackson's breast at the Super Bowl.
I like Dorito Gate, Gamer Gate. Obviously, we've heard of that. Unfortunately, that's ridiculous. Pandora Gate,
Penis Gate has a link to Lenny Kravitz, which also gets us into music. Not that I'm going to suggest it over symphony orchestra.
No, yeah. How about Slapgate? I didn't even realize that we called this Slapgate, but it's when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. That was called Slapgate, apparently.
Yeah, I feel like we're at the era. So like there's a famous George Orwell essay where he talks about like don't use hackneyed language. Like we're kind of at the stage where it just slapping gate on a thing is so predictable and lazy that it has ceased to be interesting as a moniker for branding a particular disaster or anything. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. And there are so many on this page, and they're separated. We should point out they're separated by like genre, essentially, right? So the first one we were reading, those were all arts and entertainment, but then there's journalism and academics, politics. Oh my gosh, there's so many in politics. So Bananagate, Dildogate, Emailgate, Farmgate.
Fartgate.
I'm just reading some of these as I go down through. Holy cow, Nannygate. I remember Nannygate. Pastagate.
Nutella-gate.
Good Lord. Cuttergate. It feels like, is Watergate actually linked on this page? Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, wait, but there's Watergate United States. That's the one you know about. Then there's Watergate Australia, which is about an 80 million Australian dollar water buyback in 2017 by the Australian federal government.
There we go.
Water Bottlegate. Don't forget that one. Marco Rubio.
Watergate Gate from that Mitchell and Webb look
Watergate Gate.
Yeah.
Where's that? Where is that on there?
That's right at the bottom. I think
Is
that
it?
they're like sarcastic film and television references of them.
Oh, I love it.
All right, Matt, I feel like Symphony is the way to go.
I mean, I would agree. I can't imagine there's a better thing to do, and I can't believe it's linked on here. So there you go. So let's do it, man. Symphony
Orchestra it is.
It just takes you to the page for orchestra.
Indeed. And there is a link right up at the top to double bass.
There sure is.
Which
And
I really should have asked Colin when he was on, like, why is it called a double bass and not just a bass? But I'm guessing maybe it's because it's 2 octaves lower or something like that. But
but there is no just bass. I mean, I think the double bass is what we also just call the bass.
Yes.
So I see what you're saying. 2 octaves lower than like the cello.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Maybe if we go to that page, we'll find out, and we probably will go to that page unless this particular double bass is linked on this page, which it could be.
It could be. I will. Yeah, I'm scrolling down to see if there's anything of particular interest. So there are links to specific orchestra, the BBC Concert Orchestra, the London Philharmonic, the London Symphony Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, oh boy.
I see Adolf Sax is on here, the inventor of the saxophone.
Nice.
Which is well like one of those times when like it actually was the person's last name that that gave the thing its name. Late Baroque orchestra. Okay, that doesn't include a bass at all. Double basses. There it is again. Yeah, these are all there's all kinds of different types of like orchestration for various types of orchestras. Essentially, is what it comes down to.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see the Boston Symphony Orchestra on here yet. Have you noticed that?
I have not. I don't know that Boston...
Here's the Berlin Philharmonic.
I
know that was one of the ones that
Kusevitsky
yeah. Right. Kusevitsky.
Yeah.
So we could go there.
We could go there. We could also go to bass. I feel like if it's the most famous bass, I feel like the possibility that it is linked from the bass page is possibly high, but I don't know that factually.
No, I would agree that is probably going to be our best bet. I see the New York Symphony Orchestra is on here as well, which he said that's who Carr played with, so we could potentially go through there. Because you would think that you would think that all of these are certainly options or possibilities. Unfortunately, neither of these people are mentioned on this page, as best as I can see.
Yeah.
Nor is this specific.
Honestly, I'm not seeing a lot of individual musicians listed on this page.
No, neither am I. I'm seeing composers, but not really performers in any way, or even conductors.
There is a section called the role of conductor, which does have a link to conducting, so that might have like Bernstein and other people on it, because Bernstein was certainly a famous conductor.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I do think though. I think there is. You're right, as you say. There's a chance that the double bass page actually has it on there, and so I think that is where I would go, because it's potentially just 2 more steps, right? This and then that, versus those other ones are going to be 3.
Yeah. So there is a see also to list of symphony orchestras in the United States. We'll almost certainly have the Boston Philharmonic on there. I also want to look at the bottom there, orchestras and concert bands.
Boston Symphony Orchestra, not the Boston Philharmonic.
Oh, Berlin Philharmonic. I'm sorry.
Yes, Berlin Philharmonic. I do not know what the difference is between a symphony orchestra and a philharmonic. I'm sure there is a difference. I don't know.
I think they're here. I have no idea if there is an actual meaningful distinction. For me, this is like ship and boat territory. I'm sure there are people who have a passionate belief that one is the correct word to use in a particular instance, although I think it's just a bunch of musicians playing together.
I really like, there's so this section about like the different orchestrations or the different instrumentation for orchestras under modern postmodern orchestra.
it has a section that's electrophone, and it's got like the theremin, the electric bass, electric guitar, things like that. And then the last thing it has is non-musical instruments such as a typewriter or reel-to-reel tape.
Nice.
And I have heard there's a fairly famous classical piece of music that I cannot think of the name of right now. It might be called The Typewriter, that has a typewriter as an instrument in it.
Yes.
And it's such a fun piece of music to listen to. I remember hearing it.
I have seen a video of that online as well.
Yeah.
Matt, we all know it's all about that bass.
Yeah. It's all about
double bass.
No treble. Let's go to the double bass, man.
There it is. Here we go. The basso profundo sub bass instrument double bass. The double bass, also known as the upright bass, the acoustic bass, the bull fiddle, or simply the bass, is the largest and lowest pitched chordophone in the modern symphony orchestra, excluding rare additions such as the octo bass.
Does it say why it is called the double bass?
It's terminology. Let's see. I have not.
It refers to the instrument's range and to use its one octave lower than the cello, and to its use 1 octave lower than the cello. The cello part is the main bass line. The double bass originally played a copy of the cello part, only later it was given an independent part. So
it's doubling the cello. So it's doubling the bass part. Okay,
well, it was, but now it has its own. Yeah,
but
it's an octave lower.
That's the etymology. That's the root of the double part.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. Yeah. There you go. So there it is. So is this bass on the page? That becomes our new question.
This is a surprisingly longer page than I.
It is quite long, as a matter of fact. But come on, this is the most famous double bass in the world in history, as far as we can tell. It's got to be here, right? It's got to be on this page.
One would think, or a link to the famous bassist who owned it, if the actual instrument itself is not linked here.
I suppose that's certainly possible as well.
But this is also suffers from the fact that basses, like, and I wouldn't dare say this with Colin on the call, but I love jazz, and my least favorite part of any jazz song is when they have the upright bass solo, because I cannot hear it.
Oh, okay.
It is a vital part of the ensemble, and I love it when a bass is part of it. But like a bass solo to me is like I'm just putting my ear right next to the speaker and I can't hear a damn thing.
I think that's a fault of the audio mix, as far as I'm concerned. But here's the good news that I've got for you, Jethro.
Yes,
that is that Kusevitsky and Gary Carr are both linked on this page.
Fantastic. Whereabouts?
There is a section for double bassists down near the bottom.
There.
And if you go down there, I don't even want to say the bottom, because it's still a pretty long page, but it is lower down.
Yeah.
And you will see that both of them are linked on there. Now, what I'm looking to see is this bass still linked? Because I haven't found it yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be on here. I just don't know what section it'll be under. I skipped some sections to get down there. So
yeah, I mean it's an astounding. There's double bass ensembles. Look at that.
Huh? How would that? Well, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, there's ensembles of all sorts of them. So, I see Kusevitsky linked even earlier, under 1900s to present, under classical repertoire. Boston Symphony Orchestra is linked. Do they talk about best known conductor, popularized the double bass? So it talks about him in the article.
There's a picture of him playing a bass.
Yes, there is. It's got to be that bass.
Well, it doesn't have to be. I'm sure he played many basses
from the 1960s through the end of the century. Gary Carr was the leading proponent of the double bass as a solo instrument, and was active in commissioning or having hundreds of new works and concerti written especially for him. Carr was given Kusevitsky's famous solo double bass by Olga Kusevitsky and played it in concerts around the world for 40 years before, in turn, giving the instrument to the International Society of Bassists.
Does it link to his famous double bass?
No.
Ah!
No, it does not. How is that possible?
Wait a minute. Are we avoiding the obvious links at the bottom, where there
Oh,
could
the
easily
purple
be,
the purple boxes?
yeah, the purple boxes.
Oh, I didn't even look down there yet. I was trying to find it in the main article first. Because I feel somewhat dirty going to those purple boxes, but I'll do it. Don't get me wrong. I just thought maybe it might also be up here. And here's Gary Carr linked again, and not talking about it. Not talking about this particular bass.
I mean, this is one of those where like Control F wouldn't even help us, because what are we're going to search for bass?
I mean, we could search for Kusavitsky -car, I think is what we would be looking for.
Interestingly, it is not linked in the See Also section.
No, it is not. I did notice that.
So
it's not going to be in bluegrass. It's not going to be in slap bass. It's not going to be in popular music.
Yeah, I feel like Kusavitsky is the way to go.
I don't believe it's not on this page.
It is.
Joe Buck is linked on this page. Come on.
Joe Buck?
Yeah.
Who's Joe Buck?
Joe Buck, the famous an American country and punk rock musician. I thought it was Joe Buck, the sports announcer. That's why I was blown away that he was linked on the page. Clearly not the same person. So
yeah, that talentless idiot does not belong.
I just was surprised. It was like remember we found a link to who was it? John Mayer on some page that it was supposed to be this historical person, and they had linked it to the famous singer instead. Yeah, I don't see this bass talked about on this page. I see it talked about. I just don't see it mentioned by name or linked.
Yeah.
You don't think he gave us? You don't think he gave us a fake out, do you? You don't think this?
You mean a Hazrat Angel situation where?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we got to go to Sergei Kusavitsky's page.
I mean,
and we'll find out there.
If it's not, if it's not on that page, then
we're going to
done. We are done, sir. Did you look under the purple boxes? Did you find anything?
I did. There's only very high level general stuff about instruments. Generally, not. There is a link to Stradivarius, but
okay.
That's not going to take us exactly. Sergei Kusavitsky is the way to go.
All right, so Kusavitsky, there he is, Sergei Kusavitsky. Let's do it, man.
Indeed. Conductor, publisher, pictures of him. Look at that. He's so happy. Tanglewood, American Orchestra, Leonard Bernstein, Bolshoi, champion of contemporary music.
Yes.
Legacy.
Come on, Legacy.
Recordings.
Wait, I found it.
What? Where?
I found it. It's under Legacy. Following Kusavitsky's 1951 death, his widow, Olga Kusavitsky, presented double bassist Gary Carr with his double bass, which is linked.
Nice. Click on that, baby.
There it is. The Carr Kusavitsky double bass.
I cannot believe we actually got there in a relatively short time.
I agree. That was shocking because I thought that, the fact that we went to that list of gate scandals and it had orchestra listed on it was shocking. But we did it. We made it. We've done it, Jethro. And we've done it it only took us 5 links to get from the Renault Formula One crash controversy to the Carr Kusavitsky double bass. Tell us, Jethro, what did you guess today?
I guessed 6.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I guess 7.
Damn
it. I had 6 and I was like, no, it's going to take us longer. I put 7 in and it screwed me over. Oh man, how did we do that in 5? Amazing. We're too amazing for ourselves.
We may be the best people on earth at this.
Are we almost as impressive as Colin, perhaps?
Yeah. I feel like I should go make cider now.
You definitely should go make cider regardless, because that's gonna take you up a couple of notches. I'm gonna
have to find somebody's apples I can steal.
That was great. I can't believe I didn't even get to finish my drink. We got through there so quickly.
Well,
so
Matt, maybe you can save it for the next episode.
No, I feel like it's going to get real watered down if I do that. I'll finish it. Don't worry. I'll take one for the team here. I'm having a moist January, so it's not dry, but not nearly as wet as it used to be. Oh God, what is happening? Jethro, take us out, would you?
And there goes our female listenership. Not that we had much anyway, but
yeah.
Just the repeated use of the word moist has driven everybody away. Well, thank you so much for listening, folks, and I can't wait to hear my first actual bass solo, because I'm going to go Google this now and listen to somebody playing it, because I'm pretty sure it makes some pretty music.
That's it. Go check it out. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.